A very good evening to you. Thank you for joining us. This is BRTV channel 102 and you're live to Nigeria Watch. Tonight is going to be loads of news talking about what is trending, and of course we have a guest in the building. Let me say happy birthday if it's your birthday today. So keep living and enjoying yourself. This is Nigeria Watch coming to you from BRTV on your choice decoder TStv channel 102. Tonight on the show, we shall be taking a closer look at some of the newspaper headlines. But before then, let's quickly introduce our guest, Aluta Continua, Victoria Aseta. That sounds like you are in school. Don't worry, it will soon resume. Welcome to the 40th president of NANS. Talking about Usman Urma Baramu. I got that right. It's my pleasure to have you on the program.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Presido, we're happy to have you. Thank you and welcome back to the show. In case you've just joined us, this is Nigeria Watch. We'll be talking with the NANS president, National Association of Nigerian Students president, the 40th in that number, talking about Usman Omar Barabu. And let's take a look at the elections that brought you into office. The 40th president, that's very symbolic, a round figure at that. How would you adjudge the election that brought you into office? Because we know most of NANS elections are usually characterized by violence. And I think we didn't hear much of that recently. So how would you adjudge that?
Till today, attending whether the election is violently regular, something like that. So I think so far so good. It's one of the best, if not the best election.
So going forward, what are you looking at in future election? I'm talking about digitizing some of these elections so that students who can't come to Abuja, basically it's a delegate election, we understand, but there are some delegates who may not actually find time. Being students, how do you put the resources of students who are in the technology industry, the computer science students, to see that going forward, the elections can be done from anywhere?
Just like you said, we are also looking towards that.
Exactly.
We started this election that was out of school by creating a portal, and most of the delegates registered through that portal. And like 2 to 3 days before the main accreditation started, there was a display of those that registered at the portal. Now it's a good one. At least initially we don't used to do that. But now that we have a portal, we'll do registration there and be able to name. The next thing is, after you are being accredited, you can cast your vote either in Lagos, Maiduguri, Abuja, Onitsha, and the case may be. So we are working towards that, and by the grace of God, in our next election, we are going to test it.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, you've just joined us. We're speaking with the 40th president of the National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS. Omar Usman is right here with us. Sorry for some of the inconveniences, but moving forward, let's take a look at some of the critical issues, like we mentioned, insecurity.
Yeah.
The National Youth Service Corps, and of course the provisions of employment. What is the role of the students at this point in time to persuade ASU to see to it that perhaps the students need help?
Yeah. Okay. There is something I want us to understand. As we are begging the ASU to return, we are equally begging the federal government to fulfill its promise to ASU.
Okay.
Because always we the students are usually begging ASU to return back to class. But the truth of the matter is we have to know why the federal government couldn't fulfill their promise on their own part. Because agreement signed 2009, reviewed, they keep reviewing it. Now what's the major problem? That is why we sent a letter to His Excellency, the President of the country, calling on him to call the ASU himself, sit with them, discuss, and have a way forward. Because we realize that the Ministry for Education and of course the Labor, they are like intermediate between the ASU and the presidency. Now what they will agree, if the presidency didn't agree, they have to go back again. Now we are saying thank you to the Minister of Education, of course his colleague, the Labour, but it is high time for them to give a space. Let ASU and President have a one-on-one discussion, and we believe with that we will solve the problem.
So you think if the ASU members have the opportunity, or leadership rather, have the opportunity to meet with the President, what do you think they will be telling Mr. President that the Labour and the Minister of Education have not told?
Now, you see, leadership, them seeing the President of the country, talking to them directly, agreeing to their terms, saying, okay, I will do this, I will do that, we are going to achieve this, we are going to do this, but go back to class. I think they will do it because it is the supreme order.
Unfortunately, they are now in court.
Yes, to us, we the students, we are not happy with that.
Okay.
We are not happy with that. Why? Because it's going to prolong
the whole process.
Yes, the whole process. Now, today, while we are about reaching, the judgment, the judge said he has adjourned till tomorrow for hearing.
For hearing. Of course, he has to follow all the judicial processes.
Now, before you know, another 1 month. Before you know, next 2 months again.
Are you thinking of any political undertone in all of this ASU wahala in court?
To me, I don't think there is politics in it. Why?
Okay.
Because if you look at it, from 2009, PDP then administration, they are the people that signed the agreement.
Okay.
Now 2015, APC took over. They reviewed the agreement and signed again. So if you look at it, both the past administration and the present administration ASU has been on strike. So it's not politically motivated to our own understanding. But it's just a little disagreement that we are pleading with ASU to shift ground. Likewise, the federal government to also shift ground so that they will come at equilibrium.
Okay, let's take a look at the 2023 elections that is coming in the next 6 months or thereabout. We're talking about the presidential election, February 25th. Students will be at home. Do you think there will be any effort made to see that students will be in school while the election is ongoing? Is it a form of concern for the government?
Yes. Now, there is one thing I want to say today.
Okay.
That both the opposition and the ruling party, that's the government of the day, they know that the student constitute the highest number of registered voters.
Okay.
They know that student previous election, that's 2015-19, we have the highest number of casted vote to our own side with the student.
Okay.
2023 is coming. We have the number, we have the PBC, we are coordinated, and we will take action. I am saying this as president of NANS, that we will sit with virtually all the presidential aspirants. We will see what you have on ground, what you are going to do if given the mandate in terms of the education sector, agriculture, health, security, job employment, and a lot of things. You have to convince us.
But we've had presidents in the past who sound very convincing in terms of what they say, who didn't live up to the expectations of what they said. So now the question is, what character of a president is a typical Nigerian student looking at? What are the characters, the qualities? Looking at where we are today, where should we be going in 2023? Because it's a lot of concern for the fact that students have been at home going for over 300 days and still counting. And the question now is, would you want a repeat of what is happening today? I mean, I'm asking for the student, you are talking for the student.
You know, there are questions that you know the answer already. Oh, definitely no. We won't be praying for this thing to happen again. That is why I said to you that it's not going to be business as usual.
Okay.
While I was going around campaigning, I usually used to preach to them that go and get your voter's card, get your PVC. I am not going to decide where we are going, but we collectively, we have executive, we have the legislative part of our organization, we have the zonal structure, 6 across the zone, they have their ESCOs, we have the joint campus committee, and we have the student union government with our stakeholders. We are going to sit together, agree on where we are going, and they will hear from us. And let me tell you one thing, it's going to surprise the whole country where we are going.
Okay, talking about where you're going, the emphasis has been looking at the Nigeria of today. What quality of a leader are we looking at? Did we make mistakes in the past? And if yes, what should be the correctional module? Talking about conscience, because there are a lot of things in place. Tribe, religion, ethnicity. He's my brother. So how do we persuade or perhaps dissuade Nigerians of all of these, in quote, characteristics that doesn't really bring anything on the table at the end of it?
Thank you very much. Now, one good thing with our organization is all those things that you mentioned doesn't used to play a role in our organization. What we used to do is, okay, during my election, I got 292 votes out of 310.
292 votes.
Yes.
That's a
94.8 something percent. Yes.
Wow.
Why? Because I'm widely accepted.
Okay.
Now, you should not expect me to fail my people. That's the student community. So all those things you mentioned, to us at organization, we don't do that. We respect leadership. That is why I mentioned the stages of our structure. I will not decide. We will sit down and agree on the person we are going. Which, if you look at the past leadership, we don't used to have such of a thing.
Okay.
We will call the presidential candidate one by one.
Okay.
Sit with him, discuss, and thank God most of them, they have held position previously.
So what did you do
look
with your
at
position?
yes.
What's your legacy? That's the question.
Yes,
These
of
are
course.
the questions.
Of course.
Yeah.
We will go deeply to investigate on our own capacity, and we will ask you where you have loopholes. We will table it to you, and definitely we will pick one, and we are going to campaign for him.
In case you've just joined us, we are speaking with Usman Umar, 40th President of National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS. We'll open the phone lines now, 0907 177 1985. I repeat, 0907 177 1985. The number is on your screen. We'll go for a short break. When we come back, we'll open the phone line. Stay with us. This is Nigeria World. In case you've just joined us, let's give you a recap of some of the newspaper headlines we brought to you earlier so you can keep pace. In case you're just coming back home, we brought you a report from the Punch newspaper that Amechi failed as minister, says Wike. Still from the Punch newspaper, Uba Soludo condemns attack, vows to ensure justice. And from the Vanguard, Peter Obi is planning to fake assassination attempt. Keyamo alleges. Vanguard, Buhari's visit Imo PDP asks Uzodinma to account for 241 billion naira. And from the Guardian, Ekiti Oshun polls more questions trail INEX server hacking claims. We are still taking a look at the future of the NANS leadership, talking about the 40th president of National Association of Nigerian Students, Umar Usman, who is here with us. He's made salient points, but we'll be expecting you to also call in to make your contribution on the program. Moving ahead, still on the issue of politics, we would like to know what level of sensitization, because your organization formed the major fulcrum on which the elections, like you said, the bulk of the voters, the youth, the questions they're asking are, is this how we're still going to continue to be? And these questions really attract a lot of answers from those who are supposed to be answering. And I'm happy you said you're going to create a platform for these candidates, political parties, to answer. But going forward, let's take a look at the Nigeria situation and how we can change the system using NANS as a case study. Can you give us an insight into some of the deliberations that the NANS would be looking at in making their decision?
Like I said to you, past antecedent.
Okay.
We must look at that one. Another thing is criminal record. If you have any scandal, and if you are not careful, we will not consider you. Because we need to get it right this time around. Because we are at the verge of collapsing. If we didn't get this thing right, I'm afraid the country may likely collapse. Look at what is going on. Nothing is moving. Nothing, absolutely nothing is moving. You can't come up with one sector and say, yes, we are good, we are the best in the world on that aspect. So, I mean, if we, the student and youth, of course, we could not...
No, but you can't actually quantify if the government is not doing very well, because we have projects that are visible and people can actually see. We have the issue of Nesal, we have the agricultural program, we had the midterm funding by the federal government, and we also have some infrastructural development. But you cannot say holistically that government had failed.
No, I didn't say government has failed, but I say nothing is moving.
Okay.
Now we are looking at it at our own angle as students.
Okay.
As we on strike, is something moving to us? Definitely no. Let us return back to class first. That is our main target. Now, if you talk about the issue of NISAL, a lot of things, the market, women, trader money, and a lot of things. Now, we injected a lot of money on that aspect, but it has been politicized.
Okay.
Most of the people that are in need of it couldn't access it. That is the reality. And you, of course, definitely, I know you are aware of some of the complaints. Look at the issue of agriculture. We have the Nakotan, we have the Ripan, and a lot of things by the federal government. They injected a lot of money. But go through it and you'll be surprised.
What steps would your leadership as the new president, just barely about a week now?
Yeah, just 2 weeks.
Yeah, just about 2 weeks. What strategic plan do you have as the 40th president of NANS to inculcate most of these values? One, in the student, and of course to drive government to a point where they can do the right thing, at least to ensure that students can get back to school before 2023 elections.
Okay, you see, our major target too is let us return back to our classes first.
Okay.
Because there is a lot of tension. Now, because of that, you see some of the students will start engaging in all sorts of criminal activities.
And it's on the increase.
Yes. Because student is an ideal, if you are an ideal person, a lot of things will come off your brain and you will start thinking negatively. But at least if you are in school, there are a lot of things that you will not think about it negatively, but rather positively. Now what we are targeting now is the federal government and ASU should go back to negotiation table. But on this note, we want the president to do that himself. Like I earlier said to you.
Have you written to Mr. President?
Yes, of course. Yes, of course.
Asking him to meet with
yes,
the leadership of ASU?
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. And by God's grace, we are going to resend him another letter of reminder that please, this is what we want. Help us and do this, please. Because on that aspect of strike, I think to me is the only one that can solve the problem.
So someone said this government are also afraid that if school starts, politicians might be using the students as stooges and forks ahead of the 2023 elections.
You can't use students in Togri activities. People fail to understand not all youth are students, but all students are youth. If they are using the youth, they will match us together and say youth and student that are doing this. No. We have 2 slots, they have, some of them have 1 slot. We are student and of course we are youth. But on that aspect, they are youth, but not all of them are student. Student cannot participate in a Togri activity. I am telling you this because we know our students.
But we have scanty issues of cultism, as reported by some security officials linked to some students. How is your office going to manage all of this?
Well, up till now, there is no any report that reached us as organization about this cultism.
Okay.
But like we just agree with the executive that immediately they reopen our schools, we are going to go around the higher institution because of 2 things. Now, issue of drugs and issue of 2023 election.
Okay. To sensitize the students?
Yes, on these 2 issues, which is very, very key and fundamental to us and to the country. Like I am telling you that it's not going to be business as usual. A lot of people will be surprised this 2023 election. It's not going to be business as usual. You coming to Senate first term, second term, third term, fourth term, and you have nothing to show, and you are expecting us to go with you again. Definitely you will see a lot of changes, I'm telling you this.
Okay, you've continued to say changes. Are we expecting a revolution? And which form is this revolution taking?
Through the ballot. Ours is through the ballot. We will not make noise because we own the vote. We are natives.
Okay, so can we liken this to semblance of NSAS, what happened in 2020? What would be your recommendation, talking about the NSAS scenario and all of the losses Nigerian experienced? Is there an alternative means to which students, like you've mentioned, can drive home their demands?
Yes, that is why I'm telling you, we are very lucky that we are approaching a 2023 election. So we'll table our demands maybe by December and give the government till January. Okay. If they didn't do it, definitely they should know that our vote will not go to them. As simple as it is. But we have to target December, January, a month before election. And by the grace of God, maybe a week to general election, we will do that our national caucus meeting. Immediately after that, we'll call for press conference and we'll address the country and the colleagues, the students, that this is the way forward.
Wow. It's been a very wonderful time with the national, the 40th president of NANS, Umar Barabu, and he's here with me on the show. I don't feel like letting you go, though it's soft spoken, but you made a really interesting point. Would you like to rate President Muhammadu Buhari's administration in the ratio of 10 to 20 or 50 to 100? How would you like to do
in
that?
What aspect?
The aspect generally.
Aspect generally?
Yes, in all of human existence. Let's just take 100%. You choose a percentage from there.
You know, in some aspects you can rate him high, in another aspect you can rate him normal, and of course in some aspect you can rate him below the pass mark. So quantifying it generally to say this percentage, I think is not needed for us now. What we need now is let us return back to class.
Let us return back to class. That is the message from students to the federal government, and indeed calling on government to sit on a round table to show some sense of concern and responsibility. Thank you for having time with us on the show. We look forward to having you subsequently.
Right. Thank you very much.
And that's the size of the show tonight. I want to say a very big thank you. In case you've just come back home, you've missed a lot. We'll do this again tomorrow, 7 p.m. And we had a great time with the National Association of Nigerian Students 40th President Umar Usman Baramu. Thank you, Alfred, for touching the buttons. We appreciate it. And my assistant producer, Abayomi Abami. Thank you, Philip, for your time. And of course, we also had the Senate President, who came along with the president. Thank you so much for coming, and your team. And also the Secretary General, I'm told, was also here. Maybe we'll look at how we're going to partner all of this to bring NANS on board on TStv. Thank you so much for your time. Let's do this again tomorrow. God willing, have yourself a splendid night. You know I love you. On behalf of the entire BRTV TStv, good night.